The mind is a battlefield, and every thought is a soldier. Win the war within, and the world outside bends to your command. A young man wandered through the village streets, weighed down by frustration, disappointment, and the endless echo of his own failures. Every attempt to achieve something meaningful had ended in heartbreak. Every dream that once shone brightly now felt distant, like stars just beyond reach. He watched others succeed, neighbors, friends, even strangers passing through the village, seizing opportunities, building lives of impact, while he remained trapped in hesitation, doubt, and fear. The laughter of children, the chatter of villagers, the busy hum of the market, everything reminded him of how far behind he felt. Each day brought hope, but each night left him hollow and questioning his worth. In his restless wandering, he remembered stories of an old wise man who lived atop the hill at the edge of the village. People spoke of him in whispers and awe, describing how he had unlocked the secrets of the mind, mastered fear, and found peace and clarity that few could imagine. Legends claimed that those who sought his guidance emerged transformed, no longer prisoners of their doubts or circumstances. Driven by a combination of desperation and hope, the young man resolved to climb the hill, believing that perhaps the answers he sought lay waiting there. The path to the summit was treacherous. Stones jutted out from the earth like broken teeth, roots twisted beneath his feet, and the incline tested both strength and patience. The sun beat down relentlessly, sweat soaking his clothes and stinging his eyes. Every step seemed heavier than the last, and yet he pressed on, propelled by an urgency he could not ignore. Birds soared overhead, their effortless flight reminding him of the freedom he longed for. The wind whispered through the trees, brushing against his face like encouragement, as if nature itself conspired to guide him forward. After hours of climbing, he finally reached the summit. There, under the shade of a sprawling ancient tree whose roots delved deep into the earth and whose branches reached toward the heavens, sat the old man. His presence radiated serenity and strength, as if he were a part of the hill itself. The old man's eyes held centuries of calm wisdom, seeming to peer directly into the young man's restless mind. Without a word, the young man seated himself, hoping the silence could bridge the gap between confusion and clarity. The old man gestured toward the river flowing far below, its waters moving tirelessly, curving around obstacles, carving a path through stone with patient determination. He explained that the river mirrored the mind. When clouded by doubt, fear, or distraction, it stagnates. But when guided with clarity and purpose, it flows with unstoppable force, capable of shaping the world itself. The young man stared at the water, realizing how often his own mind had been stagnant, blocked by worry, hesitation, and fear. He felt as though the river was showing him the potential of his own untapped mind, if only he could learn to guide it. The first lesson emerged from the quiet, the power of thought. Every action, every choice, every success begins in the mind. A scattered mind produces scattered results. A focused mind produces unstoppable momentum. The young man reflected on the countless times he had let negativity and doubt dominate his thinking, wasting energy on fear and indecision. He realized that to change his life, he needed first to change his inner world, to cultivate clarity, focus, and purpose in every thought. The second lesson was emotional mastery. Emotions, the old man explained, are like wild horses, beautiful, powerful, and dangerous if left uncontrolled. Anger, fear, and envy can derail even the most capable person, leading to mistakes, missed opportunities, and regrets. The young man thought of the moments in his own life when frustration had caused him to give up, when fear had frozen him in place, when envy had poisoned his confidence. He began to understand that mastery of emotion was not denial, but direction, learning to channel powerful feelings toward meaningful action rather than letting them destroy him. The third principle was self-discipline. Success, the old man said, is not a fleeting event, but the cumulative effect of small, consistent actions. Discipline is the silent architect of greatness. The old man explained that the difference between ordinary people and those who leave legacies is not talent or luck, but daily dedication. Early mornings, repeated effort, commitment even when the results are invisible. These are the foundations of extraordinary achievement. The young man realized how often he had allowed laziness, distraction, and fleeting comfort to guide his life. Discipline, he understood, was not a punishment. It was the key to freedom, a path to shape his own destiny. Next came the lesson of association. The old man pointed to the trees swaying together in the wind, to the birds flying in formation, and explained that the mind absorbs the energy of its surroundings. Negativity, idleness, and doubt are contagious, and so are ambition, wisdom, and courage. The young man reflected on his circle of friends, the voices he allowed into his mind, and the habits he had unconsciously picked up. Transformation, he realized, required not only internal change, but also conscious curation of his environment, choosing influences that lifted him up rather than dragging him down. Persistence in the face of failure followed. The old man shared stories of inventors, explorers, and visionaries who had failed repeatedly, only to succeed because they refused to surrender. Failure is not an end. It is a teacher, a stepping stone, a spark for growth. The young man felt a shiver of recognition. Fear of failure had kept him from taking risks, from stepping into opportunities, from pursuing his dreams fully. Courage, he realized, was not the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite it. Finally, the old man spoke of purpose. Achievement without meaning is hollow. Wealth without impact is empty. Fame without peace is shallow. True success arises when the mind, heart, and actions align with a purpose greater than oneself. The young man closed his eyes and visualized a life of significance, where each effort mattered, each challenge was a lesson, and each day contributed to a vision bigger than himself. The clarity he felt was intoxicating, a fire igniting within him that burned away hesitation and doubt. As the sun began to sink behind the hills, painting the sky with streaks of gold and crimson, the young man stood. The storm of fear and frustration that had haunted him for years was gone, replaced by calm determination and unshakable clarity. The old man watched silently, knowing the seeds of transformation had been planted. The young man descended the hill, not as a man defeated by life, but as one beginning to master the most powerful force in existence, his own mind. In the days and weeks that followed, he applied the 6 rules with unwavering commitment. He monitored his thoughts, mastering focus and clarity. He learned to channel emotions into energy and purpose. He disciplined himself with daily routines and consistent effort. He surrounded himself with people who inspired growth. He faced failure with courage, learning from each setback. and he aligned every action with his higher purpose. Slowly, the world around him began to reflect the change within him. Opportunities he had once overlooked now appeared clearly, and challenges became stepping stones rather than obstacles. The transformation was profound, not because life had become easier, but because he had become stronger, clearer, and more resilient. Master your mind, and you unlock a life of extraordinary potential. Every thought, every emotion, every action is a brushstroke in the masterpiece of your life. The greatest victories are not won in the world outside, but in the silent battles fought within. Control your thoughts, harness your emotions, pursue your purpose relentlessly. If you are ready to awaken your mind, embrace these truths, and create a life that inspires, subscribe now and join this journey where wisdom meets action and ordinary lives transform into legacies of greatness.